Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today bringing you my review for Dishonored 2. This is a game that we have covered on the channel a lot for the past year between the podcast and some early access coverage, and I'm happy to say it is finally here. And I know a bunch of stealth games have come out in the past 3 years or so, but I haven't played a stealth game I've truly fallen in love with since the first Dishonored, and I'm more than happy to say that this is the best stealth game I have played since the first Dishonored. This is a title that recognizes all its strengths from its first entry, which was incredibly well-crafted open sandbox levels on top of slick stealth gameplay and the encouragement of player choice, while also amending a lot of the flaws in the game, such as its story and chaos system, and reworking those into easily some of Dishonored 2's biggest strengths. Dishonored 2 begins 15 years after the Rat Plague, which was the event of the first game, and you are playing as Empress Emily Kaldwin, and today is the day that you are collectively mourning with Dunwall the assassination of your mother, another event that took place in the beginning of the first game. And sadly, a coup takes place led by Delilah Copperspoon, who you'll recognize from the Brigmore Witches DLC from the first Dishonored, and now you are on the run and trying to figure out what happened, who Delilah is, and how you can take the throne back. That brief synopsis of the story will lead into what I think is one of Dishonored 2's biggest strengths, which is its story, starting off with the cutscenes, which have been massively improved over the first entry, where it had almost an Elder Scrolls Oblivion type of feel, where the camera would zoom in on a person's face, they'd have little to no animation or emotion, they'd just talk to you, and it really wasn't improving the story or moving things forward, and it didn't grip me as much as this one, where you have fluid animation, emotion, expression in these cutscenes. It's what you'd expect from a traditional single-player game in 2016, but this is definitely a noteworthy improvement from its predecessor. As I mentioned as well, the characters in Dishonored 2 have improved over the first game, where you'll notice that there's multiple layers of personalities, issues, and so on with these characters that make them more interesting to learn about as the story progresses onwards. One of the more pleasant surprises in the terms of characters was the Outsider, who is voiced by Robin Lord Taylor. He plays as the Penguin in the show Gotham, and he does a fantastic job in that show, being obviously a villain, but almost like an anti-hero at sometimes for Jim Gordon, and he translates that role perfectly into the Outsider as he provides context clues on how exactly so-and-so got involved with the coup of Delilah Copperspoon. Also, amidst those conversations with him, he implies that reality of choice and how you can handle things. Not to say that the first Outsider was bad, but he was more like, "What are you going to do, Corvo?" While this Outsider's more ominous, mysterious, but giving you interesting clues on how these people got involved in Delilah's coup. Also, more importantly, is that both Emily Kaldwin and Corvo Attano, the two protagonists in this game, are fully voiced, which is another change from the previous entry, but one that should be natural in a 2016 video game. I'm pleased to report, though, that this change is a positive one, as it emphasizes once again the player choice. As for example, if you're doing a high chaos run, you'll hear how Emily is dying to kill someone, and she becomes darker and more cynical, and obviously that leads to a more evil ending. Where if you're low chaos, she's talking about how she can avoid killing someone. It's more of a lighter tone from her, and it really emphasizes, as I said, the way you play that game, and it constantly respects the choices you make within the gameplay. The playstyle is also reflected in how characters respond to you, where some of them will reveal more about themselves to you, or some will shy away from you, and it really impacts the overall experience, making it feel like I'm making changes in this world based off the way I play the game. But overall, the voices do a fantastic job of capturing the moment they are in. There is only one hitch, and that's this weird moment where I realized while playing as Corvo that the guards also have Corvo's voice. So it's very strange to hear Corvo mumble something to himself, and then you hear a specific guard across the street say something as well, and it's the same exact voice. It doesn't happen too often, but still, it's one of those short-sighted decisions that really breaks the immersion. It sounds like a nitpick, but trust me when I say it, just you hear one voice and you hear the same exact thing across the street and you think, how is that possible? Throughout my 16-ish hour playthrough of Dishonored 2, the gameplay absolutely never let up. The level design of Dishonored 2 is impeccable, as it fits different protagonists with different powers and different play styles, while still making the world feel natural, which is huge as it highlights exactly how talented these developers are, where they're able to create a natural world space that also fits into their gameplay. Since these levels are bigger, you're going to find more side quests, more collectibles, and so on littered about the level, and I'm telling you, you can spend hours upon hours in just one area of a set level, where most levels come with 2 to 3 set areas, and they are huge and full of stuff to do and explore. Emily and Corvo's power sets contrast each other in just the right way, where Corvo's powers are largely the same from the first game, which can lead to more of a nostalgia playthrough, but also a more traditional feeling, as Emily's is more of a stealth locomotive gameplay, where you'll have her far reach that'll send her flying forward, and then you have bone charms that enforce that gameplay that you can actually craft yourself now, where for example you have a bone charm that'll make you invisible with far reach instead of just bringing you to a place, which makes that stealth gameplay all the more appealing for her. Overall though, it's the free Dishonored gameplay that we know and love. There is one big issue though with this sequel in comparison to Dishonored 1, and it's naturally in each level you have a target to eliminate who has to deal with the main story, and usually there was a unique option for each of those, and by that I mean, for example, in the first Dishonored, when you're hunting down Overseer Campbell, in the first mission you could either poison his glass, which would take him out in a lethal fashion in a unique way, you could stab him as per usual like any enemy, but that's no fun, or you could knock him out and then put him in his interrogation chair, use that against him, and non-lethally remove him from the scenario. You see what I'm getting by the unique opportunities, and in Dishonored 2, there are really only unique opportunities for the non-lethal takedown. There's the only kill so-and-so, as in run up to them and stab them with your blade, or non-lethally take them out, which is the unique way. And while it makes sense because the canon in Dishonored is non-lethal, I feel that in the sense of the game itself, it would have been entirely reasonable to include a unique kill option, which is a huge removal from the first game. You spend an entire level stabbing most people. Why would I want to stab that high value target instead of maybe doing something unique to take them out, because that additional step is what makes it fun. Not to say that the non-lethal options aren't absolutely amazing, but it just seems like the game is trying to bottleneck you down this pathway where you have to play as a non-lethal character, which once again I understand because of the fact that the canon is non-lethal, but it just doesn't make sense in the terms of those who want to go high chaos, why they're not being rewarded with unique kill options. The game of Dishonored 2 itself allows for creative kills, of course. We can do tons of different things to kill people in a unique fashion, but I'm talking about those developer constructed events that you can only do through them, not through the gameplay itself and your own discovery. Lastly is the music for Dishonored, which is absolutely incredible in my opinion, because it reminds me a lot of the orchestral score of BioShock of all games, and as it faintly plays in the background, the level of volume is not too high, not too low, where it just sits there as you progress through the level and fits along with exactly what's going on. Sometimes the game knows when to turn off the music, where you're trying to listen in on people and all you hear is the footsteps, the creaking of the house you're in, and you're just trying to listen in on what exactly is going on here. But speaking of listening in, the footsteps in this game are weird, whereas I'm wearing headphones, I'm trying to hear exactly what direction they're coming from, but the footsteps are so loud and all of them are the same that it's really hard to tell exactly sometimes where people are coming from, which I think is an important aspect of a stealth game, is being able to just sit there and listen and use your ears as a new set of tools. I'd also like to discuss the performance issues on PC. As you guys can tell by the 60 FPS gameplay in the video, I did play the entire game on PC and I didn't have any technical problems, whether it came to FPS drops, crashes, and so on. My game ran perfectly fine, but that's likely because I have a very strong rig in order to create videos for you guys. But I do see people with high-end rigs who are struggling to run this game, and that's a problem, meaning that there's something wrong with the optimization here. Some people on Reddit have highlighted that when they look at certain objects, for example in a glass case, that they'll drop 12 FPS, so this might mean something along the lines of particle effects that are needless, that are going on inside that little space there, that are just overall trugging down the game's performance. Bethesda is working on a patch for the performance of Dishonored 2. So if you're watching this review now around launch time, I'd say buy this game on PC after the patch comes out. If you're on console, I've heard console performance is just fine. Buy this game immediately. As you can tell, I have high praise for it. But if you're watching this afterwards on PC and the performance has been fixed, then pull the trigger on this game, because this is my favorite single player game to come out this year in 2016. I had high expectations for this game and it managed to exceed it with a great story, improved improvements on its core gameplay, fantastic voice acting, a wonderful soundtrack, and although it does have some flaws currently such as performance as well as those kill options which are not there and won't be fixed, those are things that will bring down the product, but overall it did not diminish it enough to remove any enjoyment I had from this game because I played non-lethally anyway. I wasn't going to use those kill options, but when I come back for a second, third, and fourth playthrough, which the game encourages with its multiple endings and multiple protagonists, I still felt these kill options should have been added. Even so, I absolutely adore this game in every aspect and I cannot recommend it enough. If this is your first time getting into the Dishonored series, I would say play the first one beforehand as it will improve your experience quite a bit. A lot more things will make sense and you'll be able to piece the story together a lot more and also appreciate the overall product. But I wouldn't say Dishonored 2 is a bad starting point, just I don't think that you'll be in it for the story if that's the case. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review and found it informative. If you guys have any questions about this title that I didn't answer in this review, then fire away in the comments down below and myself or some of the other viewers will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. The links are, as always, in the description down below. Check out TriggerBomb.com, the place by Bethesda fans for Bethesda fans. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.